Alright, here we are with number 10 with Tammy Preston. Everyone calls her Tammy, so I'm just going to call her Tammy for the rest of this procession here. She is the first new member of the Blue Rose Task Force since its founding. She was the FBI Academy valedictorian of her class. Gordon Cole pretty much notices that she's talented. He's kept his eye on her for a while as she's progressed through the FBI's, ladder of command, if you will. And he's noticed that she's a talented and a well-spoken and intelligent individual. So it doesn't surprise me that she was, added to the task force. She's very useful throughout the show in many ways, as well as being just visually stunning. She has excellent jobs at all different kinds of things. Like, for one, she's able to figure out the fingerprints of Cooper were literally, the fingerprints they gathered from the crime scene of one of the events was actually Cooper's fingerprints reversed, which is a point at the evil versions or the doppelgangers from the Red Room being amongst them. She does a really good job at interviewing William Hastings, which is played by the guy who played Shaggy. We all know him from Shaggy. Also the guy from 13 Ghosts, played by Matthew Lillard. He's a very good actor, and like I said, all those other roles plus more. But she's really good at interviewing his character in the show and able to find out basically other places where there's other rips in the fabric of time, basically where you can go into the zone, if you will, or to the lodges or Red Room, depending on, the time and area and everything, and that's when his head explodes, which is fucking phenomenal. Her and Gordon's relationship just together in general is just adorable. Like they, it's like kind of like mentoree, if you will. Like when they're in the restaurant and they see Albert on a dinner date with Constance Talbot, who is the coroner. It's just really adorable, and she's really awesome. And, I really, I find her character just, very, not only essential, but also kind of like, just empowered in her advancement up the FBI ladder. The other thing I do remember is when they're in the room with the fake or the tulpa of Diane created from Evil Coop, when she pulls out her gun, Tammy and Albert blast the crap out of her, which I don't even know if would have killed her if just Albert blasted her. So having both there to shoot her was one might have injured her and she might have been able to still shoot somebody, because Gordon kind of was caught off guard and didn't want to shoot her because he has a long-standing relationship with the real Diane. But once you find out that she's a tulpa, it changes the entire thing, and that's, that whole thing leading up to that's all thanks to the investigation done partially by Tammy, and then the firing of the guns themselves. And she's just really good. And there's a funny scene where she's standing outside just patiently waiting and changing her stance and how she's standing and all that. So yeah, just really awesome stuff. And we'll move along now. Here we are at number 9. This is probably going to be highly controversial, but I don't care. We got Wally Brando, son of Andy and Lucy. But biologically, there's theories that it's actually the son of Lucy and Dick Tremaine. Even according to Mark Frost, Dick tried to get a hold of Wally, but Wally ignored him, which might mean that maybe even Dick knows that maybe it's his real kid. It's really hard telling. He's played by none other than Michael Cera, Scott Pilgrim himself. He was in Superbad. Like, I just love Michael Cera in most things. He kills it. He's playing kind of like a personification of Johnny Strabler in The Wild One, played by Marlon Brando. In fact, he's born on the same day as Marlon Brando, April 3rd, so that's very interesting. But there is some timeline inaccuracies, because it's if you go by 2016 being the year of season 3's being taken place, he'd be born in 1992, which would be 3 years after Lucy's essential pregnancy. So that might mean that he's another kid, or according, the thing that Mark Frost said kind of goes counter to all of that, and that just might be a timeline. He probably had done like that way to be funny, to be honest. his character's meant to be hilarious. He's got so many funny lines, like the one where he goes like, "My dharma is the road, your dharma." He is kind of like generally just kind of motions to the town, which is profound. Like it's funny the way he does it, but it's really like, you know, where he seeks joy and pride and all that, and all the happiness is on the road, as to where Sheriff, the sheriff sees this joy in protecting the people of Twin Peaks, and, you know, as being that positive figure in the town. You know, he's actually very profound. Like, he's got another quote where he's like, "My family, my friend, I've crisscrossed this great land of ours countless times. I hold the map of it here in my heart, next to the joyful memories of the carefree days I spent as a young boy here in your beautiful town of Twin Peaks." So he's like, you know, he's deep and profound at the same time, but also super hilarious and like corny with the way he dresses. And it kind of does give you a sort of like a Dick Tremaine vibe. It's probably, you know, another thing that leans into that, you know, that feel. I do like the sheriff's response, because he's kind of bewildered by the whole experience. He's kind of like, well, may the road rise up and may the road rise up and meet your wheels. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I just love that quote though. He just like, he's like, it's a good quote. It's a good counter to what he said. And Wally is a good character, and apparently super controversial. People don't like him, I guess, because he's too funny or so random. But like, it does tie up a plot line, and it's just a nice little piece of added humor to a pretty not funny episode overall. It's just he's really good, and I like him. And plus, it's my list, not, you know, it's everyone's opinion really, and this is mine. And, you know, so we'll get on moving to the next one. But, you know, Wally Brando definitely is one of my favorites. Here at number 8, we have, played by none other than the great David Duchovny, Fox Mulder himself, we have Denise Bryson, born Dennis Bryson, but during a undercover sting operation where he's dressed as a female, he discovers that he wants to be, wants to be that of a female, and wants to be, transgendered female. And he went by the name Denise ever since. And, I like the line he's got where it says, "Coop, I may wear a dress, but I still put my panties on one leg at a time, if you know what I mean." And it's, she is a funny character. I like how Gordon Cole even tells everybody at the FBI at the time, like, I told them all to pretty much accept it or just take a hike, pretty much. Maybe not to that exact quote, but, and I think that's great. And it really just shows that, David Lynch is just more of like a progressive-minded person. I mean, this is back, like, the original series is in 90 and 91, and, that's just super progressive, super woke for the time. And it's just, really awesome. She's pivotal in a lot of different things, especially in the first seasons when she comes dressed as a waitress when they are when Coop is undercover at the One-Eyed Jack's area, and she comes in with her waitress outfit on and pulls up her dress enough just to expose the gun underneath her leg, and then boom, Coop grabs it, boom. It's just like easy. Coop shoots Renault, and then she takes out Officer King, which is just a good scene altogether. And it was good teamwork. It was a good plan. She kind of helps, and by tangent, kind of helps Audrey realize that there are female detectives also in the FBI. So maybe it gives her kind of a an eye into it, because she's smart and likes to do things like that are like espionage behind enemy lines, as definitely her storyline in the show shows. She just does a lot of good stuff. She ends up becoming the FBI chief of staff in 2016, which is amazing. I mean, that's, once again, being able to be transgendered in starting off in 1990 and going into 2016 and advance up a ladder, like a ladder at work or anywhere, is just super progressive. And it's just, David Lynch is awesome for that, and the character is awesome because David Duchovny, does a great job of not making, like, there's some comedy there, but really to play the character like as straight really as possible. No pun intended, it's like the opposite of a pun, really. But yeah, it's just great, and I wouldn't put her any lower, that's for sure. So we'll move on to the next ones and see what we got upcoming. All right, here at number 7 we have Albert Rosenfield. Super hilarious guy, but he plays it like by the book, and he's very like pessimistic and an asshole, which I am too. So it really kind of plays well into my beliefs, I suppose, because he's a pacifist as well, and I'm a pacifist. He even starts off the show with having issues with Harry Truman, the sheriff at the time, but ends up by the end of it like kind of telling him that his acts of like passive aggressiveness are foundations of love, basically, and he says he love you, Sheriff Truman, and that kind of squashed that beef right then and there. And it's just, he's a great guy. He's great. He's funny, and he's close with Coop in a way, but Coop keeps him in check too in regards as like when he tries to file a complaint against the sheriff, I believe it is, for punching him in the face, because he kind of deserved it, you know what I mean? And he points out that Cooper was shot with the same gun that James Bond used, the Walther PPK, which I found pretty interesting. He was one of 3 RoboCop actors. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that it's Miguel Ferrer, which is one of 3 RoboCop actors that's been in Twin Peaks. Other ones are Ray Wise and Dan O'Herlihy. Hope I said that right, Herlihy. So that's pretty interesting as well. And he and Tammy are pretty much the ones that button down the whole Diane Tulpa thing, as I mentioned in the Tammy video, or the snippet, because the whole time they're kind of tracking it down. Even he unveils the text messages between the evil Coop and the Diane Tulpa, and is able to get a jump on it. Him and Tammy together are able to get the jump on it before it's even apparent of what's going on. So. And I just like his everything he does. He's a interesting character, and he's pivotal in a lot of moments because he's a DNA testing guy. So without him, they wouldn't have a lot of the crime scene investigative stuff done. It's just really played well, and his chemistry with the other characters as well, and it just feels so natural. And that's really all I can say about that. But we'll move on to number 6. And at number 6 here, we have one of the, I call it the bigger mysteries of Twin Peaks, other than Laura Palmer herself, would be Audrey Horne. Audrey Horne's very interesting in many ways. I like her personality. She's very hot-headed but intelligent. She kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you'll understand this reference, reminds me of Sarah, the Triceratops from Land Before Time. She's bullheaded but intelligent, but bullheaded to like a negative degree that gets her in trouble, just like that Triceratops in that cartoon show. I guess she's a perfect match for that character, realistically. I like that she's got her own little dance that she does with her own little musical segment that nobody else hears that music. In most cases, so it's kind of unique in that regard too. She's played by Sherilyn Fenn, which does a fantastic job, but she didn't get along with Lynch towards the very end there. Maybe throughout the whole entire thing, she's just kind of one of those actresses that didn't get along with directors, And her character, the way her ending is written in a way that maybe could be Lynch, maybe slightly getting back at her, or maybe pointing out that like she's kind of biting the hand that feeds kind of thing. I don't really know if that's the case, but her ending is very unique. But I do like that she came to Leland Palmer's defense when he was doing, getting laughed at in the middle of the dance, like floor area for dancing, kind of like pretty much like a maniac and weirdo because of the death of his daughter. He was just grief-stricken, and she understood because she was friends with Laura, so it just makes sense. Altogether. She helps Coop along the way, and she loves Coop, definitely a true love, and it gets her interested in investigative, and it gets her interested in just kind of like, she's already clever as it is, but it kind of gets her in clever in different ways, like, like behind enemy lines, but it kind of gets her in danger as well. But her and Coop have wonderful chemistry together. I feel like they would have been an item if it weren't for her being directly involved in one of his investigations, But yeah, that ending though is very interesting, because Tammy actually points out that she ends up marrying her financial advisor person, accountant, and that could be the guy that we see. I can't remember his name now. I might have written it down. I did not. But nonetheless, that guy might just be a manifestation, because when we see at the end, she's trying to talk him into going into the roadhouse, and eventually he's like, well, I'm tired, I don't want to go, I got a lot of work to do, and then eventually he fucking stops moping and poping around, and they get to the roadhouse, and then everything's going as normal, and all of a sudden they're like, ladies and gentlemen, Audrey's dance, and then the spotlight kind of goes on her, and she's just kind of like awestruck for a second, but then she starts dancing and being the center of attention for everybody, and then all of a sudden the music kind of like fades out as like a guy runs over and punches another guy and another patron in the bar, and she runs over to her husband, or her supposed husband, and is like, get me out of here, and then all of a sudden his face shows a reflection of her, and like looks like a hospital room, or maybe a padded room even, like like a funny farm, and she's got like all white on, and she's got like no makeup, and I think her hair color might even be different, and it's definitely a shocker, because it makes you really wonder. It's kind of like a real Mulholland Drive kind of Inland Empire kind of feel on that one, which is great, because David Lynch being David Lynch. But yeah, so one of the biggest mysteries in the whole show to me, and that's why she makes it pretty up high on my list there, because I love her character throughout the series, and I love her personality and just the way she is, and then kind of the mystery surrounding her as well. So we'll be going on to number 5 now. All right, here we are at the top 5, and at number 5, the most lovely and nice and caring Janie E. Jones, played by Naomi Watts. Janie E. Jones is so awesome, as she like literally goes from pretty much being married to a tulpification of Cooper, that gets taken back to the Red Room and pretty much deleted, and having regular Cooper, who's now assuming this persona of Dougie Jones, being pretty much like not brain dead, but definitely not all there in the upper chambers, so to speak, and he's definitely got amnesia going on. Once again, a very Mulholland Drive situation. But she's able to just, pretty much just go from the switch of you have to assume that there's a noticeable switch, and she's able just to kind of pick right up and just be like, you know what, honey, it's fine, we'll make it through. Even when Jade give 2 rides, like, I bet she does, she's like, even when she's mad, she's like, it's like funny mad, she's never even like truly mad, she's more disappointed, but like, we'll get through it disappointed, and like the best kind, She's also a very commanding woman, like with the whole money deal that she did that was on Dougie's behalf. She's like, I'm only going to pay you guys that, and that's this, and there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it, basically. And then they're like, damn, this woman's got balls, big cojones, and that's just that kind of woman she is. Really, like her, the Dougie Jones's boss, the Mitchum Brothers, and the Candy, Sandy, and Mandy combination, all of them really helped Dougie a lot throughout his journey to like what he's coming to, from assuming that persona of Dougie Jones to being, true Special Agent Dale Cooper, you know what I mean? So it's an interesting turn of events, and she's probably really one of the most influential throughout his entire life, being able to keep him safe home, keeping them to and from work and giving them a home life, and she's wonderful for that. She feeds them. It's wonderful. And she's funny as hell too. Like like I said, the whole Jade give two rides thing. I bet she did. But also the interview after Dougie gets attacked by Ike the Spike. Like when they both take him down. See, she helps take him down, and then during the interview, she's like, "Yeah," and he like karate chopped him and grabbed him, and here I did. I hit him with my purse, and it was just. It's just the most wonderful, heartwarming thing ever. But speaking of heartwarming, the very end like of their relationship, not really the end relationship, but like when Cooper has to go do the thing basically and leave her behind. They have that warming embrace, and it's like, I love the time. He truly did love the time that they shared together and everything, and he shows it by sending once again another tulpification of Dougie Jones, but a good one, a good-natured version, to complete the whole family, and it's really wonderful. And Janie E. Jones is just a wonderful family woman, played by a wonderful actress. It's kind of funny that she's in a movie with who she's playing with another actress who has supposed amnesia, and then she's also with Dale Cooper, who's got amnesia from his regular normal life, because now he's Dougie Jones, and so very interesting, and I just love her so much. But we're gonna move on to number 4. And here we are at number 4, and this isn't cheating because I've counted multiple people as one entry, but this is the Mitchum Brothers. We have Rodney and Bradley. Rodney being played by Robert Nepper. It's Nepper. My bad. Robert Nepper. And then Bradley being played by none other than Jim Belushi, and literally his only funny role. I know it sounds controversial, but Jim Belushi is only funny in this because of the writing of David Lynch. Otherwise, I don't know. According to Jim, not good. But either way, the Mitchum Brothers they are the greatest people ever. They have hearts of gold, just as just freshly awoke Dale Cooper says. He says, you guys, you might have your own tactics or whatever, but you guys are heart of gold. They are guardian-like figures to Candy, Sandy, and Mandy, but mostly to Candy because of when they could fire her, but she has nowhere to go, and even with her personality sometimes being a little snippy, they're just loving people to try to help give a job, shelter. And realistically, the only reason that they're mad at Dougie Jones to begin with is because they were rightfully denied their big money payout insurance claim. So realistically, it was technically their fault, or it was the insurance company's fault. I mean, I'm not sure it's go as far as murder, because they are kind of like, they do get things done in their own way, but and it's all good because the money eventually ends up getting to them, because Jim Belushi, Bradley has the dream. He's like, now if I see what's in that box, the same thing I see in my dream, we can't do nothing to it. We just can't. We got to pretty much just do nothing. So what do? They see the damn the pie in there, cherry pie in there, and they just basically from that moment forward are like they go from being like a force of potential evil and bad to being like a great force and a force for good, and they help out Dale in multiple ways. Like, they are so pivotal, and people don't even realize it in this series. Like, they give them cash, they give them transportation, and I don't mean just transportation, they give them fast. Like, they get a jet plane or whatever, they get whatever they need, like, boom, right there. And like, they also, along with Candy, Sandy, and Mandy, accompany Coop all the way back to Twin Peaks. And in fact, they are there to witness Bob being removed from the evil Coop and, being shattered by Freddy with the glove. And even they're like, this is a one for the grandkids, which is just super funny. Like, they're just super good people. Very funny, played. I guess I should mention that the guy that plays Rodney, Robert Nepper, is in Prison Break. So, they both had their acting chops, before, during, and after as well. And, yeah. They just give them everything. They're a great morale boost, like even when they're like marching around the office in the conga line, like it's all with Dougie Jones. It's just they're great comedy, and they're great help and great allies to have in a weird, dangerous world in the world of Twin Peaks, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think there's any reason to not have them this high in the list. So we'll move on to number 3 now, and we'll see you over there. Okay. All right, here we are at the bronze medal. Number 3, we have Deputy Chief Tommy Hawk Hill. We're just going to call him Hawk because everyone does, and I think that's probably why. It's pretty big mouthful there. Played by Michael Horse. He's part of the Indian tribe. He is full-blooded Nez Perce, but he's also knows and has knowledge in Blackfoot and Indian as well, which is another Indian tribe. So I think he just got well-rounded knowledge in, a lot of different Native American folk tales and folklore, and just knowledge of their general beliefs and everything too. As a child, he actually used to play in Owl Cave, which was said to be haunted by fierce ghosts, which is a very big clue into them getting to the point to where they find Nido when the fabrics of time kind of tear at that moment and allow Andy to go to the other side with the firemen. So he's pretty pivotal in that. He's got many great scenes, though. Like the one that really comes out to mind is in the earlier seasons when the Coop and Harry Truman go to One-Eye Jack's undercover, and then they all hell breaks loose and they're trying to escape, and they're running, and a guy pulls out a gun, and pretty much they're at wit's end, and all of a sudden, wow, he gets this fucking like knifed or something in the back of the head, and all of a sudden you see it's Hawk, and Hawk's like, I knew you guys weren't doing whatever. I can't remember what they said they were doing, but he was smart enough because he's a tracker, so he knows how to find people. So it's like it was a perfect build up, perfect setup, and he's a savior in that moment, and he's just he's a power of great good. He's also a good character in the show, represents the positive side, along with all the deputies over at the sheriff's department, except the guy that they lock up in the jail cell. I like the scene where he talks about they talk about the chocolate bunny. Lucy and Andy are sitting there, and they're got the chocolate bunny. And they're noticed that it was missing some. So they're like, is that what the clue? Is that something to do with your heritage? Is that a clue? And he's like, no, the bunnies aren't a clue at all. And he's sitting there and he starts thinking. He's like, are the bunnies a clue? Are they clues? Like, is it about the bunny? It's so good. It's so good. He's one of the Bookhouse boys too, which I mean goes without saying, Bookhouse boy for life. Him and the scenes with him and the log lady are very, they're very touching, and they're very informative as well. They also kind of show a passing of time, and just to kind of show that all good things, pass with time, and but it also helps progress the storyline with the old cryptic log, I guess the log is speaking and telling its secrets to the world. He does find Laura Palmer's diary hidden in the bathroom after he drops a coin, which is very pivotal as well, with the journal entries in it that, pretty much reveal some very key facts to the plot. And he also talks about a woman's love being it lifts the soul and the heart pretty much, and it's someone you want to be reciprocal with. And you don't really see him with any women or anything, but this shows that he does know the idea of, partnership and that and the other. And he's just a well-rounded character. He's got, he's a guy you want to laugh with, have a beer with, but he's also intelligent, and, he just comes from an interesting background that kind of helps fuel the storyline. So I like his character, obviously, quite a lot. So we'll move on to the top two. All right, here we are at number 2, which I guess some people probably would have thought this would have been number 1, but we're going to put it up here at number 2 because it is Dale Cooper, Special Agent Dale Cooper, if you will, or Dougie Jones, depending on where in the timeline we are at, where in the storyline we're at. He's obviously intelligent, funny, especially funny when he's Dougie, because he's pretty much just like out of his element, but just in his comedy element, some slapstick comedy, 1920s, 30s, 40s, straight, heck, even 1950s, we're talking like Three Stooges style comedy, I do like his quote with the damn fine cup of coffee. It's fucking wonderful, because I do too enjoy me a damn fine cup of coffee. He always has the thumbs up, which is great. He even has other characters of the show doing the thumbs up, which I just find it's wonderful. They would never done that before, but once they're around him, it just becomes a thing. The whole Mr. Jackpots thing, which I referenced in the beginning of the first part of the video, it's like, hello! you gotta love it. He's just and Jade give 2 rides. Like, he's just so funny as Dougie Jones, and he's such a, he's also a heartfelt soul with all of his time spent with Annie and Audrey and Janie E and Sonny Jim. Like, he just has like all these good moments of love and care, and what he says after coming to like the Mitchum Brothers and Bushnell Mullins, his boss, and Janie E and all the people in his hospital room. Like, he says a lot of like pertinent but heartfelt things to all of them, and it just that's pretty much what he is. He's a heartfelt guy, but he's precise and on the books, pretty much. And he knew time was going to be altered in those moments, so he tries to say all that he can say when he can say it, because he doesn't know what'll still be standing, in the end of it all. Somewhat similar to his character. He's somewhat, just in behavior and acting, is similar to his character in Blue Velvet, which makes sense because his character in Blue Velvet's played by the same actor and does have that inquisitive, smart nature to him. Obviously, some big differences too, but they both can be noir-like at times, with a slight sensual tinge in there, I should say. But Kyle Macklin. I can't pronounce it. I'm sure it's Macklin. McLaughlin. Kyle McLaughlin. That's his name. Sorry, it's just kind of a hard name for me to say. But yeah, he kills it, nails the role as it, and he just really plays into both the Dougie Jones and the Dale Cooper and the Evil Coop role. Let's not forget the Evil Coop role as well. He's obviously one of the most pivotal characters in the whole entire storyline. I'd say him, Diane, and Laura Palmer are pretty much the 3 most important when it comes to the very, very basic, comes to the end of the story, I should say. But yeah, it's very interesting, and he does a good job, and we'll move on to number 1. I bet you all are waiting for this one. Dun, 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 dun. And here we are with the number 1. We have Gordon Cole, played by David Lynch himself, and he just slightly beats out Dale Cooper for all of his funny quotes and the way he is in general. He is just super funny and also well-rounded, well-witted. Like the quote where he's like, "You remind me of a small Mexican chihuahua." He's got so many great quotes, but he's like, played by David Lynch himself, he definitely knows exactly what he wants in that exact role. He's got a unique old school kind of vibe to him. He's can't hear well at all because he's constantly mishearing things, which is also kind of more of a slapsticky kind of like super like old school style comedy that just plays off well in a show such as Twin Peaks. Like Albert's like, I said you're gone soft in your old age, and Gordon's like, not where it counts, buddy. And it's funny because in that moment, Tammy gives them both, gives Gordon a look like, oh damn, all right, like he's like, you said that, okay. It's kind of funny. It kind of empowers like the older man in David Lynch and by reciprocation Gordon Cole. He trained with Philip Jeffries when he was going to training school, which is interesting, very important when it comes throughout the story. He was part, of from the very start of the Blue Rose case. He was actually there when they originally found the I'm Like the Blue Rose, and when they first found out that, and then the body disappeared, which is a tulpa. It was definitely a tulpa, and it just kind of leads them into the whole entire Laura Palmer case. He could hear Shelley Johnson, which is interesting, and he's smitten by her instantly, and he kisses her, and Bobby walks in and he's like, "What you're witnessing here? You're witnessing a front 3/4 view of 2 adults sharing a tender moment." And then he kisses her again, and it's it's great because Bobby, he's offended, but it's played for the comedy's sake, and also because he's just so happy to be able to have someone have a normal conversation without him to speak super loud, to be able for them to, for him to know that they have heard of him, and also for them to be able to, him to understand what they're saying fully, which he still messes up on all the time. He compares Shelley to the Venus de Milo, which is awesome. He loves coffee, and he loves pie. And I remember that quote where he's like, "My socks are on fire." He's like, "Give me some coffee and pie." I feel like my socks are on fire. Just like I don't even know what that actually means, to be honest. But he was in the FBI for more than 4 decades, and him and Tammy have a great relationship together. He's part of getting Tammy up the ranks and getting her into the Blue Rose investigation team. So he's very important. Him and Albert and all of them put together they put together the pieces very well. He also helps in the FBI of accepting Dennis turning into, being who he truly is, which is Denise, who she truly is, Denise Bryson. And he's like, basically accept her or just get the hell out of the FBI pretty much. So he's just a great, great man. He's like an elderly man who's woke as fuck and just like the coolest. His quotes are top notch, as you see in the background. There's too many to even count. And with that being said, though, I thank you for joining me in this top 20 list, and I hope you enjoyed, and leave your opinions in the comments below. And until then, this has been Amethyst Pudding, and I will see you guys in the Double R Diner. Or maybe the Red Room. Who knows?